Hello and welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about Season 2 of Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Season 2.
On Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
But first, did you like anything this week?
Things we've liked, yes. I mentioned previously how I was hoping to finish up The Wire Season 4. Did finish up The Wire Season 4. And I felt that the Season 4... the last third became really interesting. Again, I think I've spoken before, that it's the show could definitely benefit from an edit. Not because it was it's a slow burn, but it feels like it could be trimmed a little bit and you'd still get the same messaging across. But the last third became far more interesting to me anyway. And so I did enjoy it. And again, it's rated as one of the top shows ever made. There's a good reason why. And yeah, so I was still enjoying that.
Nice.
So moving on to season 5 on that, which is the last season. And I think they might, because there's only 10 episodes in the last season, where every other season's been 12 or 13. So it might be a little more trimmed, or maybe it's they didn't want to spend the money on it. Who knows? Yeah. I didn't look it up. And then I also finally got around to watching X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Oh, and how is that? Did you love it?
No, it was not very good at all.
What? I am so shocked.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's the cast is good and the effects are fine, but it's literally nothing happens. Even though it's 2 hours long and you're just nothing really happened. And they also, of course, as per every X-Men movie, it's if you just remember slightly the last one, in Apocalypse, she ends by releasing the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then in this, she doesn't have the Phoenix, but then goes to space and gets the Phoenix power. But then it also doesn't make sense. Yeah. Because she's having weird blackout Phoenix attacks, and you're but you just said she doesn't have the Phoenix. So anyway, yeah, it all doesn't make sense.
It's too bad because it's reboot series, the First Class, Days of Future Past.
Both excellent.
Both excellent, and then it just crashed and burned.
It just became not. Yeah. Well, and it's funny as well. At least I thought, because Mystique dies. Spoiler alert for this, and I know you don't care, that she gets knocked back by a technical blast into shards of wood or something like that kind of thing, or maybe a pitchfork type kind of situation, right? Where it's I think it's shards of wood. But I was that wouldn't kill Mystique. She can actually move her internal organs, right? So maybe initially there'd be oh my god, a shock, but it's she could fix herself internally to not bleed out to death. I was she just really did want it to end.
Yeah, J-Law's I'm out.
Yeah, basically. But I was just kind of thinking about it. I was that wouldn't kill her, because I'd heard she died. So I assumed they were going to do something the last X-Men Phoenix movie where she just atomized Professor X. And I was yeah, that would kill anybody.
Yeah.
She just atomizes them. Right? Yeah. But I was just blown back into a thing. That's not a big, I
guess they just don't know how to write Dark Phoenix, because that other X-Men was terrible too.
Yeah. It wasn't good either.
It had the Game of Thrones end where he's I love you, stab.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things because the Dark Phoenix, I've read, they did it in the 90s animated show, but and I've also read the comics, and it was a whole thing, of course. So it's hard to distill it down to just, a 2-hour movie. I get that, but it's also...
So just pick a different superhero. There's 500.
Sure, or then it's if you want to do the Dark Phoenix...
Make a She-Hulk movie.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
A show for her?
I don't know. I wish it was a movie. I'd watch it.
Sure. But I was just saying, it's if you want to do a Dark Phoenix thing, then make it 2 movies. And then at least build up your story, and then shoot them at the same time and split it in half, or whatever,
Yeah.
Strategize a little. Which it seemed like they had a strategy, and then they threw it out because they're unleash the Phoenix. Oh, you don't have the Phoenix. Anyway, so... And then, famously, of course, they had to reshoot the ending because they were it's too much like Captain Marvel. And then, the ending was fine. And I was actually, I enjoyed the ending action sequence. It's them on a train, good. And there's aliens attacking, and they're all using their powers and working together. And I was oh, that's cool. Magneto was, going full murder mode because it was just aliens. So They weren't worrying about him killing people. And he's just, flying guns and shooting things and smashing steel beams and stuff, and I'm cool,
Yeah,
so,
I want to watch
but I was
that.
also kind of but I don't care, because this is all ridiculous. Anyway, so that was a couple things that I liked.
Or didn't like.
Or didn't, one of them anyway. But what about yourself?
So I've been kind of busy, but I did watch a movie this morning. which I don't know if I liked it.
Fair enough.
So, Charlie Kaufman just released his new movie on Netflix, which is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Mm-hmm. And if you're familiar with him, he also did Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, which are both great movies.
Great movies, yeah. But this movie felt kind of pointless to me. Also, it wasn't bad, but there wasn't really a story. There was lots of, like, long chunks of dialogue that felt like it could have been edited, and it felt like it was just in there so that you felt like it was smart.
Right.
But also it kind of made sense with one of the characters because he wants to feel like he's smart.
Sure.
But I don't know. I just, overall, I don't know. It's just, it kind of felt a bit like a whiny white guy being whiny. Which I don't want to, like, invalidate anybody's pain, blah, 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 but that is how it came across to me, and I was expecting something else based on the trailer.
Oh.
And about 70% of the movie made me think it was about something else.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything because it's brand new.
Right.
People need the chance to go see it, but I wasn't a fan. It does feel like one of his movies. There's lots of like really dark skies and snow. And weird like time inconsistencies.
Sure, it's always fun.
Not for me. Not for me.
Not
I mean, I did watch the whole thing.
Okay.
It wasn't like a trash fire.
Sure.
It made kind of sense, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. It was pretty.
Well, that's good. I mean,
and it's based off a Canadian novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Also, the other thing that kind of bothered me is that both the novel and the movie are billed as psychological thriller horror kind of thing.
Sure.
I would not describe the movie that way.
Right.
And there was a lot of things that like there was a basement door with scratches all over it, and he didn't want her to go in the basement. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, something spooky's gonna happen. And then she goes in the basement, and it's nothing spooky. It's like a washing machine.
I was about to say, there's some laundry detergent. Oh, no!
Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she looks in the laundry machine and sees kind of a hint towards spoilers.
Oh, okay.
But it's nothing, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. It could have been a very cool psychological thriller.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Well, it kind of sounds similar to... I don't want to get into spoilers as well because you mentioned some stuff to me, so... Well, never mind and move on.
Yeah, you know what? It's like if... You know those, like, really shitty rom-coms?
Okay.
It's like if one of the directors of a shitty rom-com tried to make a psychological thriller...
But I mean,
without knowing what a psychological thriller was.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of the vibe I got from it. Okay. But also, give it like an art house tint.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it could just be things, maybe.
It's not for me.
Yeah, or there's just elements that he wanted to include that are in the book, and they couldn't figure out how to do it, or they just budgetary constraints.
But the author, because the book came out in 2016, and the author worked on the movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I read a synopsis of the book, and I'm like, without spoiling, until they get to the high school,
right.
It's pretty faithful to the book.
Oh, okay.
And then things change, and I don't think it's for the better,
right.
But I haven't read the book, so maybe if I read the book, I'll reconsider.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was, I'm thinking of Anything's on Netflix?
Netflix. Yes.
Cool.
Yes, so, watch it or don't.
Yeah.
I don't
This
care.
one's you're on your own on this one.
Watch it, understand it, maybe watch it as a white guy and really feel the emotions, and then email us and tell me that I'm wrong.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had experienced life as a white guy, I would feel differently about the movie.
Okay, fair.
And I'd be like, he's not whining, this is deep. But from an outside perspective.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Well, it's interesting because obviously, like...
You're a white guy, you should watch it. Tell me
Sure,
if
but,
it's good or
but
not.
I was going to say Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, very enjoyable,
Oh my god.
great movie.
That's a movie
And-
that anybody could watch and relate to because it's about, like, breakups and, like, you know, like, is it better to go into a relationship and knowing it's going to fail or...
Well, and I always like that classic, it's like, you know, the decisions we make us who we are in the future, right?
Yeah,
Like, so erasing
totally.
those things, or changes, you know, it's classic time travel style stuff too, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you did that, and that's why you did that, and that's why you are who you are today.
Totally, yeah.
Or whatever, right?
And, like, everybody can relate to loss in one way or another, right? Like, I don't know. But this movie, there was nothing relatable for me. It might have been because this movie was more nuanced than Eternal Sunshine, sorry.
But it's not like you're not like the, you know, worst at picking up on visual movie, you know, themes or
like
medium or ideas. You're not just like, zombied out.
I figured out the twist pretty early on. Like, I kind of knew what was going on within the first, like, quarter of the movie.
Right.
That being said, I don't know, maybe I missed some of the nuanced emotional stuff.
Missed all the dialogue, Tenant style.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
I can't hear anything. Kevin, you're just deaf.
Just turn it up, it's on your own TV. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
It happens. Sometimes,
yeah.
you know, you watch something and it doesn't turn out great.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
That's true.
The world.
Well, I was joking with my buddy. I was like, I was saying something and I was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 post-apocalypse. I was like, oh wait, we don't live in the post-apocalypse. We just live in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
We're not at the post part yet.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not at the post, but we're in the apocalypse.
It is the end times.
Yeah, but at least I can go climbing still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I rant about something? No, you know what? It's not really related.
Or it's not relevant.
Okay, so in Vancouver, it's mandatory to wear masks on the bus now.
All transit, yes.
Transit. I saw someone on the train the other day. Everybody else on the whole train had their mask on.
Yeah.
This guy also wore a mask, but he was wearing it on his chin, so his mouth and nose was exposed.
Just chin strapping it.
And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, are you just... You're like, I found a loophole. Fuck you guys, right? I'm like, fuck you. Get off my train. And then I killed him. No, just kidding. I didn't kill him. I'm not admitting to murder on a podcast.
That's fair.
But I was upset about it.
No, and I've definitely seen that. I saw one guy, I guess he didn't realize, or maybe he had his like hood, just like bandit style on his, across his face. And I was like, okay, at least he's doing something.
He's trying.
Yeah.
Maybe he forgot his mask
Maybe he
and he
forgot
has
his
to
mask,
go to work,
exactly. Yeah.
whatever, but
I just thought that one was funny. I was like, nice. Yeah. I've seen people doing the chin strap, of course, they even eat something or whatever.
Yeah, but...
I saw one guy, he did that because he was on the phone, and I was like, you can still keep the mask on and be on the phone, man.
Yeah, you can talk through a mask.
Yeah.
They're not like... Okay.
Yes, there are some individuals who have difficulties with the masks out there. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Anyways.
stay safe, as I always say.
Yes, and rant over. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Umbrella Academy Season 2.
Yeah. What? Just at the top of this.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
Let me flip to my general notes, I guess. Let's see. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed the season. I think I don't remember. I think after we did the last one, I think, like, entertaining the idea of a second season I was like, cool, but if they never did it, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then this kind of almost seemed to drop out of nowhere for me. You were like, oh, Umbrella Academy Season 2's like out. And I was like, what? Oh, cool. But there's a lot else going on. So.
That's fair. I did know that they were making a second season, but I didn't know when they were dropping it, so I was a little shocked too.
Yeah, and then, let's see, just some general notes kind of stuff that we can get. I like the cast again. They were great together. It was cool to see them all back.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot of shows. sometimes, credit sequences are just ridiculous or stupid or annoying. I like all their little credits openings.
Oh, like when it's like a little...
Yeah, or it's like there's
cloud or something.
Yeah, there's something, and then like it shows the Umbrella Academy,
and then,
a couple names, and then it moves on. But I like them all, how they're clever and kind of just like a little thing, and I'm like, nice, you know, because some shows it's like, yeah, credit sequences are just stupid or annoying. But I like theirs. I wasn't expecting kind of almost. It very much has a very similar structure to season 1.
Yeah, you know what though, I preferred season 2 to season 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked it better. I was more invested. I thought it was a stronger story, I guess. Maybe it's because I'm more familiar with the characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I preferred it to season 1.
Nice. I wasn't expecting them to do another Apocalypse Doomsday, so that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't watched season 1 since we watched it, but it was like, how it was revealed like immediately. Oh yeah, because no, it wasn't in the second or first season. It's not till 5 comes back and he's like, yeah, the world's gonna end or whatever, right?
Yeah.
This was like he jumps and then nuclear apocalypse is happening, and I was like, holy jeez. So that was kind of unexpected, but I like that a lot. And I actually really did like the premise of them all landing in Dallas at different times.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too.
I thought that was really clever and very cool, and then you get to see how they just kind of lived, because they just land and then they're like, oh shit, it's just me kind of thing.
It almost has a little bit of like a very well written fan fiction feel, because they're like, what if Vanya was in the 60s on a farm
and lost her memory?
What would her life be like, right? Sure. And so I don't know, I just preferred it.
And that's very comic book-esque though as well, right?
Yeah,
where it's just because like they do that kind of thing to, every superhero's lost their
Oh,
memory at some point.
Oh yeah, let's put them in medieval times.
Yeah.
Let's do this, let's do that, yeah.
But it was very interesting, of course, because Allison, when she lands in there and it's like before Civil Rights, she goes into that restaurant and they're all like looking at her, and it's like a whites only kind of thing, and you're like, oh yeah, crap.
Yeah.
She's in weird segregationist time.
Yeah, there's like real consequence to landing in that time period for her. Yeah. I haven't read the comics, have you?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I've read everything that they published, or if there's a newer volume, but everything after we watched season 1, I read their stuff just to see what it was.
So is this right out of the comic story?
No. Basically, like the characters are the same, and like I think some of the ideas are kind of there, but they're doing their own thing, and even their design is different, of course. Like because Luther.
Yeah, he's like mostly monkey.
Yeah, and he literally wears like a spacesuit all the time, essentially, which is fine. I was like, cool. Do your own thing, but keep it. It's like they can be separate as long as they're entertaining. Which things like the MCU and stuff like that could prove. Like they just take the ideas of the comic and twist
fanfic it up.
Yeah, fanfic it up. Like twist it to their own way. Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, pretty brisk, right? 10 episodes, but
yeah,
it seems like there's like a lot packed in there.
I wish, before we get into it,
sure.
My gripe was,
okay,
I wish that they had given the fish guy more to do.
Yes.
Because he looks so cool visually.
It's a cool premise of a character.
Yeah, like a fish in a man suit.
Yeah.
That's cool, but they didn't really, to me, I wish they'd give him a little bit more or made him just a little bit more powerful. Or
whatever. A little more antagonism with the handler or something like that, so we can see some kind of power dynamic there or whatever, but he just kind of fires her or demotes her.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like, he doesn't show up again until he gets captured, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that is too bad, because when I saw him as well, or I think I saw like a fan art, and I was like, whoa, what is this character? Like, that's weird.
It's so cool and so weird, and I want more of it.
Yeah, and he's smoking and stuff.
Yeah, smoking through the... I was like, what? What?
Basically. Yeah.
Okay. That was my one gripe with it.
No, that's fair. That's a good gripe. I was kind of like... What did I have a gripe with? I can't remember now. It's been a couple weeks since I watched the show.
It'll come up.
Sure.
You'll be like, I hated this. And I'll be like, no, you're wrong.
I think it was something with the handler, but I'm sure it'll come to me. I think one of my main ones is, like I was saying, with the 3 Swedish killers.
They weren't as cool as they could have been.
Yeah, they just weren't as kind of a fun dynamic like Hazel and Cha-Cha that we had in the season 1 kind of thing. They weren't that kind of... In which Lillian kind of sort of took up some of that role. Because she was kind of having fun with it and stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they were kind of the main hunters of the season, and you're kind of like, they're stabbing themselves and not reacting, and then they're just randomly murdering randos, and you're just like, okay, what's their deal?
Although I do appreciate how much they like cats.
Yeah.
I like cats too.
That's fair.
So we would be friends,
Sure.
me and the Swedes. I guess there's spoiler. People know that, right?
Sure.
That we spoil stuff.
I'm sure we've already spoiled stuff.
Yeah. They're like, no, I thought there'd be more fish guy.
Yeah, more fish guy. Well, before we get into it, really, and it's something I don't think we did last time, really, is to go through the cast as in depth, which I'm sure we've mentioned like names and stuff like that. But like Ellen Page plays Vanya.
I wonder if she wrote something in her contract that's like, I get to dress how I want.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. Because I really get that vibe.
She just kind of was like, I'm just walking on a set and what I'm wearing.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear like jeans and an oversized man shirt, and you can't stop me.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate,
Sure.
like that she has things in her mind that like she's like, I don't want to portray this kind of character. I want to be like,
oh, sorry.
or just like you know, because she's like LGBTQ.
Yes.
IA.
No, and I was gonna say even in season 1, like she wasn't like overly sexualized.
No,
or anything,
I felt like.
But she was wearing more kind of, say, a feminine-esque outfit.
Shape, yeah.
Yeah, where
but
it's
it
just
was
like
still
jeans and a tank top or something.
Yeah. But I just feel like she has something in her contract where she's like, I'm not gonna wear a stupid little short skirt.
Sure.
I'm not gonna do, because isn't Vanya more sexualized in the comics?
Probably.
I feel like any picture I've looked up from it, she's a lot like.
Well, or it's just like, because especially in the first volume where she does become like the white, whatever they call her when she's becoming the white violinist or whatever, she's basically wearing like a onesie.
Oh,
like
yeah,
a comic book style, like villain onesie that looks like a violin.
Nice.
And it's all white kind of thing. But we never really kind of get like even like that her outfit in the last when she goes.
It's a suit.
Yeah,
and it
suit.
looks so badass.
Yeah, it's super cool.
With her like white contacts and everything. And I'm like, oh, I want to cosplay that.
Yes, which I've seen people do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, in this season, she's just chill Vanya.
Super chill.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So Tom Hopper plays Luther.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which it's always so curious with his, like, how much prosthetics is he wearing? And then sometimes they don't have to put all the hair, I guess, on because he's just wearing a shirt. So it's like there's probably a couple different versions of it to be like ease of in and out.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think they made him a little bit more bimbo-y this season than he was last season.
Yeah.
Like, he seems dumber.
Or he was just kind of more resigned to just give up this season.
Yeah.
Like, whereas last season he was like, we really gotta try, and like, blah, 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 and he's like, trying sucked, and we all lost. So he's just
Good
like,
point.
screw it, I'm done. And then, so David Castaneda plays Diego. With his, I liked, because he can like, bend metal in a sense or whatever, and they do a lot of knives, but he does that cool thing with the bullets in the end. I was like, ooh, that was
cool.
Yeah, a little step up there. Emmy Raver Lampman as Allison.
Mm-hmm. She's great.
Yes.
You know what? My favorite thing with her, well, I mean, she's a really cool character, but she looks so cool in the last episode when they're at the farmhouse and she's wearing those like opera length black gloves and she has like the cape.
Yes.
Like the casual cape on where that has like the slits and then her gloves. She looks so cool.
Yeah. Robert Sheehan. He's Klaus.
Yeah, everybody's favorite.
Everyone's favorite. I mean, he does such a good job.
Well, him and Five, obviously, or everybody.
He, like, especially in season 1, because you just think he's, like, he plays it so well.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and in season 2, I kind of went back and forth on him, because there's a couple times he's, like, trying to do the right thing, but he just, like, screws it up, and then he's just, like, I'm going back to booze or whatever, and then he's
I
all drunk
preferred
again.
him in season 1. I felt like he had a stronger arc.
Yeah.
But I did like where they went with the character, making him like a cult leader and stuff was interesting.
That was pretty hilarious.
And like, for me, it was interesting because I'm like, ooh, cults.
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's see here. So Aidan Gallagher, he's 5.
Question.
Sure.
Did he play the guitar player in School of Rock?
No.
Okay.
Fairly certain no.
They look very similar.
Sure.
Because School of Rock's back on Netflix, and I keep seeing, like, the beginning of it play when I'm like scrolling through and deciding what to watch, and I'm like,
I don't think the time lines up because I think that kid.
oh yeah, he would have been
he'd be
20.
Yeah, he'd be in his 20s now.
Okay, they look kind of similar to me.
They do actually. Now that you mentioned that, let's see. We got Justin H. Min who plays Ben, who I was. You know, he was in it more again than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Colm Fjord, who's Reginald Hargraves, the father. And this was actually one thing I didn't like, which we can get to, but it's like in one of the episodes, what is it? It's like 9, I think it is? Yeah. Like, because it's hinted at in season 1 that he's like an alien, right?
Right.
And in this, they do like a full-on rubber face reveal, and I was like, I didn't really like that.
Do they?
Yeah, when it's in episode 9, which I'm sure we'll get to, but
oh yeah, when he's like
talks with those guys
fighting the government.
Yeah, and then he like takes out like the secret cabal guys or whatever. But I was like, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I liked it better that it was like, okay, he's an alien of some sort, but we don't know. This was like he's got a green head thing, and I was like, not a fan of that. Let's see, Jordan Claire Robbins is Grace, which is their mother. She shows up for a couple. I was actually surprised when she did show up. I was
me too.
Cool. Kate Walsh is the handler, who's in it for quite a bit.
Yeah, do you remember the show from the 90s? It was a sitcom called, I think it was called Spin City?
Yeah.
Was it Spin? And it had...
That was with Michael J. Fox.
No, it wasn't Spin City though.
Okay.
David Spade was in it. Maybe it's called like The Newsroom or something. And there was this like, I think it's the same actress, but then again, apparently I get this wrong sometimes.
Sure. Well, I would say there was of course News Radio with Dave Foley and stuff like that.
Oh, she was in that?
No, she was not in that. I was to say if that's what you were thinking of. But I'm trying to remember now. David Spade was in some kind of sitcom.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, it was like in a modeling agency.
Yeah.
And then it was like his buddy was a photographer, and then he was like a writer, editor type guy or something like that.
And then there was a lady with like a brown bob who was kind of bitchy.
Yes, and she was like a former model.
Yeah.
Character or whatever kind of thing. Yeah.
Is that her?
Maybe. now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I can kind of picture the face, and they have very similar facial structure. Because it might be her.
Couldn't figure out why she looked so familiar.
Yeah.
And the blonde wig doesn't help.
No. Now that you mention it, that does sound... Or I could picture the facial structure in her face. Yeah. They look very similar. Maybe they're not, or maybe they are.
Maybe I'm making stuff up.
No. Let's see, Adam Goodley was Pogo. He didn't have any dialogue this season, but he did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Last season.
You know what would be good is if I just find lookalikes for all of the characters, and then we could make a spin-off.
Nice.
Called the Rubber Boot Academy. Rubber Boot University. Just rip off the plot.
Sure.
They're lookalike.
Do the Bollywood version?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Ritu Arya. Arya. Or Ara. She was Lila Pitts.
The crazy lady.
Crazy lady, I guess. And then, so I liked him here, Yusuf Gatewood. He was Raymond Chestnut, who was Allison's husband.
Oh, yeah, he has an interesting face. Hey?
Yeah, because when he showed up, and I was like, oh, man, like, because I know he's been in more dramatic things and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, it seems like a good casting to, like, get him in there.
Yeah, totally. He was really strong in it. Yeah.
I liked him as well. And then the last one listed here was Marin Ireland. She was Sissy. The farm woman.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But you don't have,
that was it.
That's it, okay.
Yeah.
I really liked the character of the weird son of the dentist that they stay with, who was kind of the conspiracy nut.
Yeah, Martin, or what was his name? Elliot.
He was an interesting character.
No, I liked him as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny because... he starts off, you're like, this guy is pretty weird, but then they kind of like befriend him and stuff like that, and you're just like, hey, he's just rolling with 5, like being like, I'm an alien. And stuff like that.
So good.
And then he's just like, the more people that come into it, he's just like, it's my brother, it's fine. I was kind of shocked that he died so kind of like early-ish in this. I mean, he died in episode 6, but
I was sad when he died.
Yeah, me too. I was kind of like, oh man, Elliot dead. It's a bummer.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what you want to talk about or how you want to talk about this. Like I said,
Okay.
10 episodes.
Let's do the overall plot.
Sure.
So, basically, I know what happened because I could hear this show. At the beginning, so last season we ended with them hurling the moon into the earth.
Well, a chunk of the moon.
A chunk of the moon.
Yeah.
So they decide to travel back in time to try and stop it, to try again, kind of thing. And they end up landing in the 60s, and they all land at different in different years in the 60s.
But in the same spot.
But in the same, like, physical spot,
Yeah.
different times. So, like, I think Klaus was the first one that dropped, isn't he?
I don't remember the order specifically.
I think Klaus was there the longest because he had time to, like, travel the world, basically, and build his cult.
Right. Well, I thought it was him or Luther.
Yeah. I think it was Klaus, Luther, then maybe Allison, and then Vanya.
5 was last.
5 was last, and I think Diego was...
Somewhere in there.
Doesn't really matter that much. So they all land at different times. They don't find each other. They go off and do different things.
Yeah, because it's like the early 60s because the show ends at JFK's assassination.
Yeah. So 5 drops in post JFK's assassination, and World War III is happening because the Soviets are attacking.
Yeah. They're landing and it's just nuclear, but all the siblings are there, like, fighting the war. And I was like, what is this?
And it was a really cool scene, and I almost wish that it went back to that, because I'm like, I kind of want just the whole show of them fighting, because it's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of weird to see them all kind of, like, unleash their powers.
Badass and, like, dressed in, like, fatigues and shit. Yeah. Okay, so, when 5 lands in the apocalypse...
The new apocalypse,
Hazel pops in, tries to tell him some stuff, slips a film into his pocket, and then gets murdered by some Swedes.
Yes.
So then, basically, the show is about the siblings coming back together.
Back to Dallas.
Yeah. To try to stop the apocalypse from happening. They each have different motivations. Diego thinks that if they stop JFK from being assassinated, then...
That'll fix everything.
Well,
he's just kind of fixated on that anyway.
He's
like, he didn't know...
super fixated on
none of them knew about the apocalypse
until
5 tries to, like, tell them about it. But, he's just like, I just want to stop JFK from being assassinated.
Yeah, without knowing that 5 did it.
Yeah.
Allison has met somebody, they've gotten married, and they're working towards civil rights.
Yes.
What, Klaus?
Started a cult.
Well, accidentally started a cult, and Rich Lady found him and adopted him, and he uses Ben to, like...
Yeah, uses ghost powers.
So that they give him money and influence and stuff, but he ends up hating it.
Yeah. They're all so clingy.
And then Diego ends up in an asylum.
Yeah, because they're all like, he's all like, no, you don't understand, the president's gonna be assassinated. Like, why do you have this hero complex? Which he does have the hero complex.
He totally does.
Because in season 1, he was, of course, still the only one being a superhero.
Yeah. It's got daddy issues.
Yeah, I love that scene, which we'll get to, but anyway.
Luther ends up basically as, like, a bodyguard slash... Fighter for a gangster.
Yeah, he's just like hired muscle guy.
Yeah.
Because he's super strong.
I kind of like the relationship between him and the gangster too.
Yeah.
Like they have a functional friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vanya gets hit by a car and has no memory and ends up living on a farm with Sissy, her husband, and their, I assume, autistic child?
I assume as well.
Yeah.
Harlan.
Yeah. And so they come together, and...
Well, so 5 tries to get them all together, basically, because he's like, look, the apocalypse is going to happen again in, like, days. Because there's only days left.
There's, like, 10 days or 7 days.
Like
There's a clock.
I think it's 10 days, because I was like, oh, that's kind of could be clever, like, 1 episode, 1 day, but they don't do it that way.
They don't do it that way.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. And then he's just like, we got to stop it, and some are like, okay, and others are like, no, it's like, fine.
Luther's not super into it.
Yeah.
Diego is.
Yes.
Allison and Klaus kind of meet independently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because when he gets thrown in jail and then he meets her husband or whatever. And gets her husband out of jail.
I liked that scene. That was good. and Vanya's kind of on the outskirts, but then the husband of Sissy goes to Luther's bar and gets kicked out.
Yeah.
And Luther sees her, and obviously sees him, but she doesn't remember him.
Yeah.
And that's basically the premise, and then other shenanigans also go down.
also ensue. Well, and it's very heavily focused or seen through the POV of 5.
Yeah.
Because he's like the main thrust of it all, where he's trying to stop the apocalypse, and he's trying like everything he can, or he's just like, we just got to get my family out. So he's talking with other people and making deals and etc. So he's featured prominently, which was not a bad thing.
Oh no, because that kid is a great actor.
Yeah, he's really great at playing a 65-year-old man, like we said last time.
Yeah. So kind of at the same time as all that's going on, the handler was shot at the end of season 1.
Yes.
But it turns out she wasn't dead.
Yes.
So she goes back to work and she finds out she's been demoted.
Mm-hmm.
And so she starts cooking up her own scheme to kind of regain her position of power at the, what is it?
Commission?
Commission? Yeah. And it turns out that she has an adopted daughter.
Yes. Who
Who she kind of plants as a spy with Diego.
Mm-hmm. Which, it was funny, I was like, I almost expected, I was like, okay, obviously there's something up with her, but I wasn't expecting that. I was wow.
Yeah.
Like that one.
That caught me off guard. Yeah.
But I was also kind of like, not annoyed, but it was revealed pretty early, right? Like, I think it was in episode like 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
I
think it was 3. I was watching it with my parents.
It was 3, yeah.
They were like, what?
Yeah. So it was just because, like, before that, her and Diego break out of the asylum and stuff like that. So it's like she was in the asylum just to, like, watch Diego, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it was kind of, like, it was a good plot and reveal, but I was also kind of like, whoa, I didn't see her with the hand there.
Pump the brake.
Yeah. Like, well, 10 episodes, lots happens, right?
And then there's, like, a third plot with the Swedes who are hired by the Commission to kill 5 and the family.
Yeah, right, because the Commission initially were trying to do that, because like the handler co-ops them a couple times and fights against them and helps them and then doesn't, and kind of thing. It kind of goes back and forth on that. And like I said, they were kind of my weaker part of the season for me, but they did what they're meant to do.
That's kind of like the 3 groups of characters,
sure.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and then it was just, I thought that was funny, because that's like, I think it's in episode 7 or 8, where I have this written down here. Yeah, because it's like, big, again, spoilers here, it's like revealed that Vanya, again, essentially causes the problem by causing an explosion in a building, and they think the Soviets are attacking, and then it just spirals out of control, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, poor Vanya again.
Poor Vanya.
Yeah. And well, and then of course in that situation, because then it's like she gets captured, and then she's, being electroshocked, and you're just like, come on, guys.
Yeah, this is a bad call, guys.
Yeah,
bad call.
Bad call, basically.
She's a bomb. Don't put electricity in her.
Yeah, don't do that. I did really like we were joking, that there was that good therapy scene in the second episode with Diego, and it's like a group therapy.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the guy's just like, well, you clearly have like a father complex, a hero complex, and blah blah blah, like all these things, and you're just like, that's definitely Diego.
That's Diego. Yeah, that's his character.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then I think that's when they break out of that one, from the asylum there. And that's in the episode 2 is when Luther goes back and like finds Vanya on the farm.
Right.
Kind of,
that's a great scene where he's in the barn and, is he going to shoot her? What's going to happen? And then he's like apologizing, and then Sissy comes with her shotgun. Just like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah, no, it was a really good scene. I like that one a lot, because then he was like, oh, you can see that, okay, she's living a life. She doesn't remember who she was. Yeah. That's fine. Like, she's not in danger. So he's just kind of like, I'm your brother. And then, like, he's like, I'm sorry for what I did. And you're like, wow. And then he just leaves. And I was kind of like, it fit right in, like I was saying, because Luther's just like, nah, we're just living here. It's fine.
Yeah. Right. Everything's fine. Yeah. I know this is jumping around a bit.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed the scene where the family met with the dad at the tiki bar.
Yes, yeah.
And he just disappoints them all.
Yeah,
by
that was
being
episode 6.
Disappointed in them all.
Yeah. Yeah, they all kind of like proved like they were able to do a power of some sort or whatever.
And he's like, and?
Yeah, okay. And then eventually him and 5 just sit down and have a drink, because he's like, you seem to be the only one on the ball.
That is a great scene when they have a drink, and he's like, plants the idea in his head that he doesn't have to go the way back.
Yeah, just jump back a few seconds.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's going to come into play.
Like, I wonder when that will happen.
I think I even wrote that down specifically, yeah.
Nice.
Not terrible advice to learn to jump back not far. Yeah. But that was a great scene, them also, because a good portion of it, of course, is Diego and Five trying to track down their father.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they think that he's involved with the plot to assassinate JFK, because they watch that videotape, and then they see a figure who looks like their dad on the grassy knoll type area.
Did you know there is actually, like, a man with an umbrella on the grassy knoll?
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
No, it was cool.
Yeah.
And so they think it's him, so it's like, there's episodes about it.
People think that the umbrella was a gun. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
You did?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. There is a conspiracy that the man with the umbrella had an umbrella gun.
Had an umbrella gun? A la Penguin, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite possible. I mean, CIA's been hiding guns and stuff. A smaller caliber bullet, you could hide it down into something not very big.
I suppose. I just think it was just some guy shooting him. But
well, I was saying that's because, little tangent, but Salt, that's the premise of it, is that Lee Harvey was replaced by a Soviet agent when he went back to America from Russia. And that's why he was a good shot, because he was like an actual trained assassin.
Yeah. I just think it was Lee Harvey. Personally, I feel like a lot of conspiracy theories are like, but the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Or like, but what about the not crazy thing?
I think there's some Occam razor in there, yeah.
Sorry.
That's it.
Now I'm going, there's a very good episode of another podcast called You're Wrong About, where they talk about the Wayfair conspiracy, because wayfair.com or .ca.
I don't think I've listened to that one.
Okay. Basically, people were saying that they were selling children because there was cabinets named after girls. Because that's what companies do, right?
Sure.
But they were very, very expensive. They were like $15,000.
Right, so there's a girl in it.
There's a pedophile ring that's operating through Wayfair, and they're disguising cabinets as a way to sell. And it's just like, that... No.
Yeah, definitely no.
There's so many things that are structurally wrong with that. Anyways, that's how I feel about most conspiracies. It's hard to convince me that it wasn't just that Diana didn't get killed in a car accident. That JFK wasn't just shot.
That's fair.
Because I'm boring. and unimaginative.
Sure. Well, like you said, it was cool to set the show around that.
Oh, totally. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that they tied him with the umbrella into like that actual theory and stuff like that. Is very cool. But I'm also just saying I don't believe conspiracy theories.
Right. Because, again, jumping ahead, that was one of my favorite things, is then when they stop Vanya from exploding, and Diego's like, I can still save him, and then he runs, and he, like, tackles that guy, and it was just a body double nobody.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I really like that, because, they showed, like, the whole sequence of him, like, running down the stairs, running across the street, and he's just like, and you're like, oh, go, Diego, and then he's just like,
nope.
Yeah. Thought that was really great. But yeah, that meeting scene was really great because eventually... Oh, and that was, like I was saying with the therapy thing, when Diego literally fights his father, right? That made me chuckle just for on that level, because it's like, that's a thing. It's always like, gotta fight your dad, right? And his dad, like, cheap shots him and stabs him. Yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was really good. Yeah, I don't know. I think the main other thing is that this season incorporates something that I think I spoke about last time, was what about the other kids born on that date?
Yes.
Because it turns out Lila, whatever her name is,
yeah, crazy
she was
girl.
born on the same day as the rest of them and has superpower.
Yeah. Which is, her powers are like, she can imitate other powers? Is that what it is?
It's basically it.
Yeah.
So they hint at it when she fights Five in that metal car factory or whatever kind of thing, because she's jumping around, and I was like, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
That was a really good fight scene as well, her and Five.
Every fight scene in this season I was impressed with.
Yeah, I was curious how your thoughts on it, because I was watching it, and I didn't mark it down how many times it happens, but they did a lot of the classic fight scene with music.
Yeah.
The hallway one I forgave, and then the opening one with Five murdering the board, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there was another one where I was like, no, I don't think you need it here. But...
It didn't bother me as much. I don't know if it's just because we're in a post-COVID world and you have to take happiness where you can find it.
The only thing that bothered me about the music choices in this one, because when the Swedes break in and then fight Allison and them, and Klaus I think is there maybe, they use the Backstreet Boys, and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, man, you should use music appropriate to the era. You're getting this show set in the 60s. Just use 60s music, right? Like, so, because it seemed like they were kind of doing that, maybe a modern remake of a song or whatever, but it was still a song from that era until that. And I was like, this is way beyond. But so. Yeah,
I mean,
like,
I kind of, I don't know.
Anyway, I was just kind of curious about that.
I think because, like, the fight scenes with music, that's not just what bothers me.
Sure.
It's that fight scenes with music in a lot of like modern movies and TV shows.
Specifically with like a pop song of some sort. Not like, orchestra or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But a lot of times it feels isolated from the rest of the movie. Like they're just making a clip that can go onto YouTube. And I think I felt like these fight scenes blended with the rest of the story a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I also got that vibe from the remake of Hellboy.
Right.
Like, there was a lot of scenes that felt so disconnected to the rest of the movie that they felt like 2-minute clips that they were going to release as, like, promos on YouTube.
Right.
And that's when it bothers me. But if it blends with the story, it doesn't bother me as much.
I believe the term is then diegetic, right? Is when the music...
Well, no, it doesn't have to be diegetic, because it doesn't have to be, like, there's a radio playing the song, right? But it can't just be, like... Okay, story's been happening, and then character walks into a diner, and pop song starts playing, and there's a big fight scene, and then he walks out, and then it goes to a completely different part of the story.
Yeah, well, and I think the more egregious example that we've talked about before is the Captain Marvel one. You didn't like that one.
Oh, God,
no. Yeah, like that one, it just comes straight out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. Because it does feel like a lot of filmmaking... now is like, we need a clip to put in the promo, or we need a clip to put in the trailer, or whatever.
Show at Comic-Con or whatever.
Yeah, show at Comic-Con. Yeah, that's what it is. We need a clip to show at Comic-Con, but when it blends, it doesn't bother me as much. Like, when it's like, oh.
Because there was a lot of really good fight scenes in the season, right?
Totally, and they made sense, and they fit in, and and it was part of the story. Like, for example, when Five goes to kill the board.
Yes.
That was a great scene.
Yes, it was.
It made sense with the show. They showed him at the hotel. They kind of built up to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just him walking into a boardroom and
even he's like beating up on that vending machine because he wants that chocolate bar. That made me laugh so much because he's just so frustrated. And he's just like, I gotta go do this assassination and I haven't had my chocolate bar.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. But like, I would have felt differently if it was if it went from Vanya at the farm to Five walking into a boardroom with, like, whatever Backstreet Boys playing and him, like, beating the shit out of everybody and then walking out of the boardroom and then it cuts to Diego, right?
Right.
I feel like it's too... Jarring and, like it's just in there so that they can show it.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Separately from the film.
All right.
That's my beef.
That's your beef about today.
And McG is the best director ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I have so many. So I wrote notes as I went, of course, like with questions and ideas or just like semi predictions and stuff like that.
Should we go through each character's story?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, we've been kind of jumping around back and forth here, which is kind of the show anyway, so it's not a huge deal.
Let's talk about Vanya.
Yeah, I was about to say we haven't talked really about Vanya, so yeah.
I thought that was the sweetest love story.
Sure.
It was very cute. So Vanya's on the farm with Sissy. Sissy's marriage is whatever. Not bad, but not good.
Sure.
And she's at home a lot with her autistic son Harlan.
Yes.
And she's very protective of him. And she also is like on a farm in the 60s, so she doesn't really have friends.
Yeah.
She's kind of
isolated and alone in this area.
Totally. And then Vanya comes along and they form a friendship because Vanya's really good with Harlan. And then the friendship becomes more intimate, and then they eventually end up
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I thought it was handled really well.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, it felt like good representation.
Sure. Well, and it just didn't come out of like nowhere or whatever.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like, ooh, look at these sexy lesbians making out on a couch.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, what? Right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, or I guess, look at these sexy bi girls making out on a couch.
Sure.
Right? And then I was also, when I was watching it, because Sissy's husband finds out.
Yes.
And there's a scene where him and Vanya drive to a farm together. And I was really, really worried that he was going to sexually assault her. Or try to.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I just don't want that. Like when it's not necessary,
sure.
It gets on my nerves, right? Like don't put it in there just for shock value or whatever.
But he just kind of threatens her. And it was handled well.
He threatens her in like in a way that a person would threaten another person. Like he doesn't like try to beat her up. He doesn't try to sexually assault her. He just like, listen, what's best for Sissy and Harlan is if you fuck off, right? And I appreciated that. Yeah. I appreciated the way they handled that because I feel like if this had come out 5 years ago even, they probably would have had a weird kind of sexual assault scene, which I'm glad they didn't.
Well, because they sort of put that in because like those guys accosting Alice, and it was kind of like that was what was implied there.
Oh yeah. But it was more like stuff, like at the beginning, right? Like or at her beginning.
Yeah, at her beginning. Yes. Yeah.
But they didn't like make it too explicit either.
No, but it was like kind of the implication there.
They didn't Sansa her.
Yes.
That's what I was worried about.
Alright. Yeah, but so, and then it was interesting because I can't remember how it comes about, because I think, isn't it Vanya's like, hey, but when Harlan runs off and then almost drowns.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, no, I was kind of like, that was pretty intense and really cool.
Yeah.
That, because again, I can't, does he hear her say that she has to go or something like that happens?
Something like that.
To upset him, and then he runs off, and then he ends up like in this pond. And she's like, okay, I got to really use my powers here. And then
she like
lifts all the water
up.
Yeah, it was really cool, really well handled and done. And then when she like gives him mouth to mouth to bring him back, and then you kind of see, I was like, oh, like, because I even wrote in my notes, I was like, okay, there's some kind of like power transfer, or what's the deal here?
Yeah.
And then they don't even do anything with that until like episode 9 and 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, okay, maybe nothing would happen or whatever.
Yeah. It was well done.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that was well handled, because I think, like I said, I have notes about it where I was like, oh yeah, here's episode 8 when it's just like, oh, yeah, something's going on right, with Harlan. And so she passes on some of her powers to him. And eventually that culminates in basically her husband has a gun. Or no, Sissy has the gun. She's threatening her husband. She's like, get out of here kind of thing.
Yeah.
Done with you. He gets the gun back. It goes off, and then Harlan reflects a bullet and kills the husband.
And kills the husband,
yeah. Because he has some of Vanya's power.
Yeah.
Bad news bears.
And then he has a freak out.
Sure.
Which, most children would.
Yeah. But then it was, like you said, it was, because there was that episode, I think it's episode 7, when Five has the briefcase and he's like, we can all go back home, everybody get back here, and then Vanya wants to take Sissy back, or to take to the future with her, and she's like, we can help Harlan there, because we have better medicine and stuff like that now, blah, blah, blah.
We understand it better.
Yeah, and she's like, no, she does go with, but they get stopped by the cops.
They get stopped by the cops, which is when Vanya gets arrested, which is when they start to do the electroshock therapy on her. Because they think she's a sleeper agent. Yeah.
Because her name's Vanya.
Yeah.
And she speaks Russian. And she doesn't remember who she is.
Yeah.
Or supposedly.
There we go.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of reasons for that. But I really like that episode 7. Because that was the one where he's given, there's like a 90-minute time limit, and then there's like a ticking clock, essentially, in the background, always, throughout the entire episode, or like that. It was, like, it's not that was expected, but I was also like, that's a great element to include, to always have, like, a ticking clock that you're just like,
totally.
Time is going by.
And that's the episode where Klaus is possessed by Ben.
Yes.
Yeah, or Ben is possessed. Who's possessing who?
No, you said it right the first time.
Yeah, okay,
Klaus,
cool. Yeah.
Klaus is possessed by Ben.
And they're kind of having a fight to, like, who gets to control the body, which is kind of cool. And yeah. I liked that episode a lot, too.
Yeah.
And Ben is in Klaus's body so that he can, like, because he's fallen in love with one of the followers.
Talk to one of the girls.
Yeah.
One of the women there.
And she's like, yeah, let's have sex.
Yeah.
And he's all shy. It's pretty cute.
That was really funny. And she's like, yeah, we did it last week. Or you. Whatever. Hilarious, yeah. But, and then at the end of the story.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, I also liked how they handled it, because Ben's been dead for a while, and just him, like, enjoying a nectarine and, like,
walking on the grass,
feeling
and
the dirt. Yeah, it's
like,
kind of cool.
Dirt. No, that was a really good moment as well in that episode. It was just so funny because all of those story things that were happening were just when Five was trying to just get everybody together. He's like,
my gosh.
Okay, everybody just get something, like, and come back. And then, like, Diego's like, I want to get Lillian or whatever. And then he gets conked out and kidnapped. And Luther, gets into the thing. And I think Allison gets attacked right at the same time.
Yeah.
So much just happens when it's just like, they just want to try to get everybody out of there. Oh, yeah, and then Alice used her rumor in that episode. Oh, yeah, to make the one brother kill the other. That's what that was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
I
that
heard
fight.
a rumor that you killed your brother.
Yeah. I like that as well, because that was with her, when she tells her husband, she's like, look, I have this power, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I don't believe it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go
on a shopping spree.
Which was a lot of fun, but then she goes into that diner and then makes that dude, like, pour her hot coffee all over himself or whatever.
Yeah. And that's when her husband starts to get weary about her.
Yeah, and I think it's also, because I think she's like, I'm trying not to use my powers, because it's like, it can mess you up, and it can mess things up, and he's like, gets that first kind of glimpse that it's like, and then in the next episode she makes the brother kill each other, right? And it's like, yeah, she can make people do anything.
Her power is really cool.
Yeah. Well, and even in the post-apocalypse or the apocalypse scene, she melts all those soldiers' brains.
I heard a rumor, I blew your mind.
Yeah,
and they're all like,
yeah, they're just like, die immediately. And it's like, oh shit. Basically. Kind of culminates here, like we were saying. Vanya's captured. Diego gets conked out and kidnapped to the commission, and Lillian is like, hey, I want him to be my second-in-command security guy. Because the handler's taken over by this point after Five kills everybody.
Yeah.
And
including Fishman.
Oh,
no, wait, he's not dead.
No, yeah, he's not dead. Yeah, he's in a fishbowl.
He's in a fishbowl.
Just on
right.
her desk. But then Diego finds out that kind of like what the deal is. That it's Vanya is in this building, causes an explosion. So he's like, I gotta go back and I can stop that.
And at the same time, Lila finds out that Five was ordered to kill her parents.
I don't know if it's that episode or it's in the next one, because the fish uses the rocks to show a file number.
Right.
And then, I forget his name.
Herb
goes and gets the file, and then it's like, it's the death of Lillian's parents. But it was
altered or something?
It's not that it was altered, it was the handler approved it using the previous guy's stamp.
Right.
And then it shows that Five killed her parents. But I was like, yeah, I was also kind of like, wait, wouldn't they immediately see through that and know it was the handler? Like, but I was like, okay, And so then she's like, I'm going to go kill Five, basically, right? She wants the revenge, and like you said, Diego's going back to try to prevent the apocalypse.
Correct.
Yeah. And then that leads to episode 9, which has a lot of great stuff. Because that's when episode 8 ends, when they're trying to get to Vanya. Her power is starting to go nuts. And they're all like falling against the hallway and stuff.
Right.
So
and Ben is the one that reaches her.
Yes.
And he gets released into the light.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
He basically dies for real.
Yeah.
I guess, in a sense. Sort of, I guess. But that was a great scene with her visually, and then she's like in that violin, and she's all towering.
She's in the dining room eating brains. To try to remember.
Yeah. And they're all just like, oh, just one more bite, and then every time she takes a bite, all these flashbacks and memory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was very good. And And then, like I said, that's what they stop it, and they're like, yeah. And then Diego's like, I can still stop the assassination. And then there was a great fight with 5v5, because 5 versus his older 5.
Oh my god, that scene where it's like 5 and Luther.
Then Luther, yeah.
And 5 and 5 are like trying to say that the other one has the sickness.
Yeah, has the temporal insanity or whatever.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Because Luther the whole time is like, wait, how do you know that you have it?
I think that's why it's saying that Luther seems dumber, because they were just constantly like convincing him that the other person was insane. Like every 2 seconds he would change his mind.
That was just for us in the audience that were like, oh, who's Luther gonna side with?
Yeah.
But he sides with young 5 when he conks out old 5, and then he kicks him into like the time portal. That was so funny. Yeah. Because of course that, ties in with season 1, because Luther conks him out with the fire extinguisher that he sent through.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes the time jump go wrong. And then that was the one. Like I said, this was interesting again because the alien dad reveals he's a lizard, and he's like, "Hey, you told me you guys weren't going to kill JFK. That was part of our deal." Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, what are you going to do about it? We'll tell people, like, you're an alien and you're doing some weird stuff on the moon. And then he just, like, murders them or whatever. But then I was also kind of like, wait, what is he doing on the dark side of the moon then? Like, I want to know about that.
Yeah, so is Luther actually doing something on the moon?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because why did Harlan... No, not Harlan. What's his name? Reginald.
Daddy
Hargraves. Why did he send him to the moon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were like, you're a project on the dark side of the moon. And I was like, ooh, dark side of the moon project. But it's never mentioned again. Maybe season 3. And that's the kind of the end of that episode. Harlan starts to, his power starts to go kind of nuts and stuff like that. Yeah. Everyone's like, yay, we did it, it's over. And then they like flash and Harlan's like, glowing and the farmhouse is shaking and you're like, oh no, it's not over.
It's not over.
And I can't remember if it was there or in the beginning of 10 that the handler sees something. Maybe it's in 9. She sees something at the, the infinite control room. And then she kills like the operator guy.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts.
I think she sees Harlan.
Does she?
This was my theory.
Okay,
she sees Harlan.
Right.
And she's like, oh, look, another child that I can adopt.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, because there's no real need for her to go there, essentially, with her and Lily. Except for to try to kill 5, essentially, I guess. Yeah.
But I think she went to go because she's like,
yes, that's right. She was trying to adopt her.
He's got
Vanya powers.
Crazy powers. They need it.
Because from what we've seen, anyway, Vanya seems to be the most powerful.
Yeah. Of
these power beings.
Well, I guess Lila
with the copy power, yes. Yeah. But maybe she can't copy to the same factor.
Yeah.
As Vanya. So yeah, it was cool. They all go to the barn. Handler and Lila show up with a army of agents.
Agents, yeah.
And then they all got to work together to fight the threat.
Yeah. It's really well done.
It was really well done. It was also really cool how it was like they're all kind of not doing well. Right? Essentially. Especially once Lila starts getting in there and like using her powers, essentially, right?
Then they're fucked.
Yeah. And then like I said, that was a cool kind of reveal that I was like, okay, Lila, she's got it going on, essentially.
Yeah, right. She's one of them.
Yeah.
And then the blah blah blah, they talk to Lila, they almost get her on her side, everybody gets shot.
Yes.
5 goes back in time by like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Prevents them from getting shot. Then the handler gets shot by the Swede, and then the Swede just leaves because he's like, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. And him and 5 kind of have an understanding because they're just like, okay, you've killed her, your family's dead, I don't want to kill you, so we'll just stop.
Yeah.
Right, so they have a moment.
They do have a moment.
Of understanding.
And Lila runs away, but she leaves her bracelet for Diego.
Yeah.
Because they're in love or whatever.
Sure. Which that, of course, is a funny line of dialogue. He's like, she's not our sister, right?
Yeah. Vanya wants to take Sissy and Harlan back, but they're but they're like, no. What if we get separated?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And then they use one of the many briefcases left behind by the agents.
Yeah.
And they go back
To the future.
to the present.
Yeah. But it's not like they expected.
But it's not like they expected. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So Daddy's still alive.
Yes.
And Monkey's still alive.
Pogo, yeah.
Pogo's still alive.
And Ben's still alive.
Ben is still alive. And
Yeah.
he's emo Ben. So
Yeah.
that probably means he's a bad guy.
Well, or they could be using their powers for nefarious purposes instead of
Yes.
trying to be good guys with their powers, because they're called the Sparrow Academy, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they're all there. And yeah, emo Ben going on and stuff like that. So
If you've got your hair straightened across one eye, you're evil.
or you're just in which 30 Seconds to Mars or something.
Yeah. And then all the 30 Seconds to Mars, isn't that what's his name's band?
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're evil.
Basically, yeah.
And then there's like an outline of different family members.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh.
And they're all wearing like a uniform of some kind too. Like, you
Yeah.
can tell that they're not all just like wearing rando clothing.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on?
And yeah, it ends.
It ends. So
Ends
you're
on
like,
a-
I wonder if they're like other people born on the same day.
Yeah, or I assume essentially that it's like, ripples through time kind of thing, that he never recruited those 7 children. He recruited
other 7 children.
7 other children or whatever, right? Yeah, and but including one of them being Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Or they
good.
could be children of the children, because Ben didn't seem that old. I don't know, it's hard to tell.
Well, everybody knows that if you are emo, you don't age.
Right. Quite possible.
Yeah.
But of
Like
course,
vampires.
Well, and the biggest thing, of course, is the dad being still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't kill himself, so like the apocalypse didn't happen. Good.
Yeah.
But then what has occurred?
But what has occurred?
Yeah. Dun dun dun. But it was kind of cool that they ended it in that kind of a way instead of like another apocalypse situation.
Yeah.
Like they did from season 1.
It made me be like, so season 3?
Season 3 is gonna happen. Yeah. Well, and I was having this discussion with a friend of mine that I remember reading an article of Netflix talking about like budgetary stuff and how a lot of their shows, unless it's some of their bigger shows like a Stranger Things or Orange is the New Black, but that's kind of different. They don't go more than 3 seasons because there's like diminishing returns. Because the idea with some of these bigger shows, it brings either new subscribers or subscribers back.
Right.
But then after a certain amount of time, either people don't come back or they're already subscribed anyway.
Right.
So they're not gaining anything. So it's like, and also I think when shows become more popular, then your actors want to get paid more because they're it's a more popular show. So
Totally.
I think there's a breaking point, and I think it's around a season 3 or 4 because then, but you have your sets, so you don't have to rebuild all those and like your costumes and your characters. So it's like there's some economics that are weird about Netflix shows because it's unfortunate that some of their shows may get canceled or not go further when it's like, oh, it could be good. But also something like this, I think it sounds like it's going to get a season 3.
I feel like it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people...
I think season 2 seems to be more popular than season 1.
Oh, cool.
At least from what I've kind of gathered, just like
There's a lot of people
talk about it.
cosplaying as UA characters on TikTok.
Oh, there
so
you
that's
go.
an indication of
Yeah.
something.
The popularity has risen.
There's one guy I follow looks just like Klaus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
crazy.
It could be him.
I don't think so, because he also cosplays as young Dumbledore and young Grindelwald.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes them like each other.
Not the young Pope?
Young Pope?
Well, if he Jude Law,
Oh.
because if he's doing young Dumbledore, the young Pope.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay, I don't know.
Bad joke.
I don't understand.
It
Was
was-
Jude Law a Pope?
Yeah, he was in a show called The Young Pope. It was an
Oh.
HBO show.
What was that about?
I didn't watch it. I was kind of interested in it. It's about him being like a young Pope, basically, where he's like...
Like a modern Pope?
Yeah, but he's like young, so he's like hip and smoking and
Oh.
probably doing back alley deals or something like that, right? So...
Just like... Oh my god. This is like a rapper video, but instead of the rapper, he's the Pope.
Yeah, basically.
With a big hat.
Yeah.
In a throne.
Yeah.
Like bitches.
Basically. So anyway, I really enjoyed the season as well, and would hope to see a season 3.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I think previously on season 1, where I was like, if they didn't continue it, it was cool. It was kind of a fun cliffhanger ending, but it's like you can kind of spin your own fanfic off of it. But this was like pretty cliffhangery to the point where you're like, okay, you can't just leave this on this. You gotta have
season 3. We gotta put them in a new, like, okay, what if Vanya worked in an office?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's also interesting because it's like Vanya has come into her powers, but she's like more in control of them now, and it's like, I'm not trying to be evil. I never was.
Yeah.
Where she kind of turned a little-ish evil, or she was just more like, fuck you guys. You guys have screwed me over. Gonna blow up the world.
She was manipulated into it too. Probably had some PTSD.
Yes, there was a lot of heavy stuff going on.
Yeah.
With her in that first season. Which, and like I said, it was one thing about her character in this one where I was kind of like, I was more rooting for her, and then when everything just bad was happening, and I'm like, oh, poor Vanya. It's just everything bad.
I was rooting for her too, because I'm like, she just seems like a nice lady that wants to, you know, live her cottagecore life on a farm with her lover.
Yeah. But no.
Nope.
Interrogated by the CIA because she's Russian.
Not again.
Yeah, I thought that was well executed, of course, as well. And you know, he just talks to her and she just responds back in flawless Russian.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, she would, because Allison mentions it that because when the one person's like, "What are you, like, dumb girl or whatever?" And she's like, "No, I speak 7 languages."
Yeah. They go, "Oh, can't you read?" And she's like, "Yes, in 7 languages."
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I like that. So it kind of like implies that it's like, yeah, they know languages because they were taught by their dad.
They had good education. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I really liked it. Highly recommend.
I recommend it too. I enjoyed it more than season 1, and I liked season 1.
Yeah.
So, go watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
I don't know. I think I've said quite a bit. I'm sure I could find something nitty-gritty in the notes, but I think overall, like I said, I liked the cast.
I like that 5 still wears his uniform.
Yes.
That makes me happy.
Well, and I think it's a funny element. I mean, obviously the actor will grow up, but they're just like, he's like, I'm stuck like this.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm just a kid, damn it. And even though he's like going to bars, he's still like getting drinks and like whatever. They're just like, oh, fine, just serve the kid or whatever. Yeah, but I do like that he's still wearing his uniform. Yeah, Lila was good. It was a good inclusion. That's what I was saying. That it's like stuff like that. More expansion on the world. You know, It's like, cool. I was into it. Yeah, curious to see what will happen with the commission.
Yeah.
It's got Herb.
Yeah.
Maybe Lila.
I think they'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up then.
Okay, sure.
If you would like to follow us, we're on social media at Tome of Uselessness. We have a website, tomeofuselessness.com. You can email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com.
Which I check every day.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever checked it.
Well, it's fine.
That's good.
I check it.
Yeah. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your suggestions for what we should do.
Yeah, questions, comments,
topics. Tell us we're wrong about stuff.
No, don't do that.
Well, sometimes we are.
Okay, fair enough.
And rate and review us on iTunes, and have a great day.
Yeah, as always, thanks for listening. Stay safe.
Bye.